In the Absolute Universe, Superman arrived on Earth as a teenager, not a baby. He had experienced Krypton's destruction firsthand, and after losing his homeworld, he vowed to make sure that Earth didn't face a similar fate. After briefly finding shelter with the Kent family in Smallville, he caught the attention of the Lazarus Corporation, a borderless corporate empire led by Ra's al Ghul. When Lazarus descended on the Kent farm, Kal-El fled, becoming a citizen of the world, helping where he could, never staying long enough to be seen. But escape didn't mean freedom. Lazarus hunted him relentlessly, and when they did eventually capture him, they tried to break him down and remake him into a weapon. After getting free, Kal-El returned to Smallville, hoping to reconnect with who he was meant to be. Instead, he brought the storm with him. Lazarus laid siege to the town, cutting it off from the outside world. To protect the people, Sol, the artificial intelligence that controlled his suit, to prioritize their safety, transforming itself into a vast fortress. And for a moment, Smallville held. Then Brainiac intervened. Worming his way into Sol's systems, Brainiac corrupted the fortress from within, turning a symbol of hope into something cold and hostile. As Smallville was cornered, the Al Ghul struck. Ra's overpowered Superman in brutal fashion, savoring his suffering and tempting him to give in, to abandon compassion and become Kal-El Ghul. Even as Sol, irreversibly compromised, chose to erase itself rather than be used as a weapon, Superman refused to surrender who he was. When Ra's ordered the peacemakers to slaughter the civilians, Superman offered himself in exchange for their lives. But Ra's refused because people were disposable, including his own peacemakers. Obedience was all that mattered. And that was the moment that Superman chose differently. Tearing the S-shield from his chest, Kal-El reclaimed its meaning. On Krypton, the symbol once was intended to shame those that were deemed to be intellectually inferior, but truly it was a symbol of strength and compassion. Using Sol's remains and the Sunstone of Krypton, he forged a sword and faced Ra's directly. His kryptonite sword shattered against the might of the Sunstone. When ordered to fire on the civilians, the peacemakers refused, and defeated, Ra's surrendered. Lazarus fell because people stopped carrying it. Smallville refused to kneel, the soldiers refused to fire, and Superman refused to comply. And now, with the old order broken and the world watching, a new chapter begins, showing us a typical day in the life of Superman now that he's no longer on the run. Kal-El has returned to the kind of life he knew before, as a labourer. He has claimed the foreclosed Kent farm and is trying to bring it back to its former glory. He has adopted the civilian identity of Clark Kent, and after the siege of Smallville, Lazarus Corp has released their claim on all of the farms in an attempt to generate some good PR. While this is some good news for him, and he plans to get the farm operational again without using his powers, because he wants to live the way the Kents had, world events just won't stop getting in his way. Likewise, he takes inspiration from Martha Kent's parting gift to him, a blue costume that she had created. Apparently his initial costume was black, looked more grey to me, but he has changed the colours to blue to match his more hopeful outlook. We're shown how we can hear all sorts of problems, environmental disasters like floods, winds, wildfires, but he has to pick and choose what he helps with and in what order. The one thing that really grinds his gears above all else is hearing how billionaire toymaker Winslow Schott had been exploiting child labour in unsafe factories. There had been 4 fires in 2 years, and Schott was only ever given a slap on the wrist. Superman offers a slap on the wrist of his own, incinerating Schott's office with his heat vision along with his collection of action figures and telling him to do better or else. He makes clear that Lazarus was just his first target. He's going to make the elites behave in more ethical ways, whether they like it or not. Now, it should be obvious, but just in case anyone was unclear on this, Superman isn't threatening violence. He's threatening to unearth their immorality and destroy their empires through exposing harsh truths. And this has clearly won him some fans. One of the things I really like about this issue is how it references the Silver Age of comics, with both Lois Lane and Lana Lang competing for Superman's affections. Lois asks Superman if he wants to go out for a beer with her sometime, and he makes his excuses. Lana Lang, meanwhile, comes to the Kent farm bearing casseroles, something far more homely, and invites him to come to her diner. Again, Superman makes his excuses and departs. One person that isn't so keen on Superman is Ra's al Ghul. The Lazarus Corporation has effectively abandoned him in his Pakistani prison, and without his regular dunks in the Lazarus waters, his age is starting to catch up with him. Initially, he is defiant, thinking that Superman has come to taunt him, but Superman practices what he preaches. He believes that everyone can be saved, and so he brings Ra's a book of handwritten prayers written by his victims. They pray that he can see the light, that he could turn his back on the wickedness that got him where he is. Superman believes there is a good man inside of him because hundreds of years ago, Russ had seen the direction the world was headed in and decided to do something about it. It's just that his idea of saving the world was completely wrong. And Russ laughs in his face, saying that he will find their prayers useful as toilet paper, and we know he's not joking. As such, Superman leaves the book just outside of his reach and instead regularly visits to share the prayers with him, and we're shown Russ breaking down both physically and emotionally over time. Superman divides his time between tending the farm, tending the planet, and tending to Russ's soul. And as time passes and Russ's body rapidly ages and that thick mane of hair of his recedes and greys, he starts to repeat the prayers as if Superman is finally getting through to him. That's not to say that it's all peachy and rosy for Superman though. The tide of problems is relentless, and it is vast. Fortunately, his powers are also equally vast. When a massive fire breaks out in the Amazon, he learns that he can suck up the flames and then redistribute them elsewhere for a controlled fire in a field in Kansas, for instance. Clearly, he doesn't have a problem dealing with natural disasters or dangerous accidents, but there are some things that are beyond his colossal reach, like a child dying of cancer alone. While Superman does his best to ensure that they don't die on their own in a sterile hospital, the weight of their passing and his feelings of powerlessness drag him down. In order to relieve the anguish, he flies above the cloud coverage and lets out a primal scream, a scream so powerful that it knocks satellites out of orbit. And this is the only thing that drowns out the rest of the world's screams. But it also brings him to the attention of Hawkman, who arrives with an accusatory, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Now, if this is your first time seeing this version of Hawkman, then I think you should go and read the Absolute Evil special, where he made his debut. He had been a hero in the 1940s and testified against his fellow costumed heroes. He is a puppet of the establishment, working closely with Veronica Cale, the main villain of the Wonder Woman series. When Oliver Queen planned to turn his vast fortune against the cruel elites that run the world, Hawkman was sent to deal with him, and he bashed in Oliver's skull with that mace. Hawkman is part of this universe's Justice League alongside Kal-El, the Joker, Ra's al Ghul, Dr. Eleanor Thorne and Hector Hammond. And their idea of what is just is quite different to ours. He literally represents what could happen to Superman if he were to give in and become an establishment stooge. And this isn't the only plot point from that comic that gets picked up in this issue. Brainiac had been monitoring the secret meeting between the League, so he knows everything that they know. Now that Russ is imprisoned, he feels no loyalty to the Lazarus Corporation. He abandons his workshop, smashing his collection of shrunken alien cities, and tells Talia al Ghul that he has effectively resigned, before going to Missouri to seek out Lex Luthor. In this universe, Lex Luthor is a loving family man who had walked away from their kind of life and was trying to be a better person, dedicating his energies to raising his family. But Brainiac has knowledge of the mainline universe and the significant role Lex Luthor could play. Will Luthor be dragged back into the evil corporate world? Is this the start of a new Brainiac-Lex Luthor collaboration? Is there a chance that he may become an ally for Superman? We'll have to wait and see. Absolute Superman 15 is available now from all good comic shops. I would encourage you to research your local comic shop, and if you don't have one, I'm certain there are dozens of good stores near you that'd be happy to mail you your comics. If you're opposed to the idea of cluttering up your home with comics, then you can get this comic digitally from places like Amazon, as well as Neon Ichiban. I prefer physical comics, but I do like the convenience of having thousands of comic books accessible on my phone, but you do what works best for you. For those that are interested in how my physical collection is coming on, well, it finally happened. We had to upgrade to a bigger storage unit. I spent a good chunk of my Christmas break moving my collection to the new place, and oh my lord, I am tired. This picture shows just over half of my stuff. I've still got about 15 or so boxes to go before I'm completely done. Won't anyone think of my poor aching back? Next time. Up next, I'll be talking about Absolute Green Lantern number 10, where Joe Mullen comes face to face with the villainous Goldface. And early next week, I'll be talking about Batman number 5, where Bruce Wayne and Dr. Zella's night out gets interrupted by a new villain, the Ojo, formerly known as Lady Deathman. Hope to see you then.